gravy looks mank.
You're an absolute pain, you are.
What?
You're a pain.
No, I'm not. So what is it?
Caramel. It's to go on a millionaire's shortbread.
Huh. So it's not gravy then?
Not gravy.
Right, well, that's daughter teas, so job 1 ticked off. These guys are going to want their bed refreshing again later on. On the camera, I have noticed it looks muckier than it actually is, but it does need doing, so that's a job for this afternoon. This morning though, the guys aren't using our transit, so I've got a 6 metre load of wood chip to go to Dursley today. So while I've got that truck, I'll take advantage of it, use it. I can do my jobs here this afternoon. Right, the first job is actually to put a load of logs on my Land Rover. I think I got it. Got it now. Right, so for those new subscribers of you that don't know, this is how we do our firewood, or this is how I deliver our firewood. When we cut it, this was done last year, when we cut it, our logs go directly into these vented bags. These are a 1.8 cubic meter dumpy bag, basically, vented bag. They're put on pallets, and then we tend to leave them out for a couple of months, especially if it's the summertime, because they'll dry far faster outside in the sunshine than they will in the barn. But as soon as winter starts coming, or autumn, and it starts getting damp, they all go inside. So the idea is we maintain that dryness, they don't soak up anymore. But there are rules and regulations with selling firewood that we're not allowed to sell anything with a moisture content over 20%. So there is a way to check that, and that is with one of these guys. This is a moisture sensor, so I'll bring it down a bit nearer. I got two settings on this. I can set it for firewood, which it's on now, sorry, or I can set it for brickwork. we're not testing the moisture on brickwork. So firewood it is. There you go. Right, so now we've got to try and do this. So when you're testing firewood, this is actually wrong. So what we'll do is we'll test this piece wrong first, and I'll show you how that is, and then I'll test it right and I'll show you the difference. So when you've got a piece of wood that's drying, the driest bit of that wood, unless it's been out in the rain, it's going to be the outside face. So if you put a moisture tester on the outside face, you're not really getting a true reading. So bearing in mind, I can't sell this if it's over 20%. Does help if you unlock it. So I'll start that again. All right, so I use my moisture sensor to test these logs. So I can only test the outside face because that's the length of the probes. What we really want is the moisture content of the middle of the log. But for purposes of demonstration, I will first show you the outside. So that is 17.4. Okay, so 17.4 is plenty wet enough, really. I mean, ideally, if you can get your logs below 15%, brilliant. But unless you're putting them in a kiln, not that easy. Right, bear with me a second. I'll go and split this chap, and we'll do a test again. Okay, so this is the face that you want to be testing from. Now, when you're using a tester, you don't want to be testing it long ways. You want to be going across the grain that way. So let's see what we are now. Okay, 17.6. So that is a fraction. It is only a fraction wetter on the inside. Was it 17.4 on the outside? Hang on. 17.1. All right, 17%. Different parts of the log will show different measurements, but so 17% moisture on the outside, which is dry enough to go in your log burner. But in the middle of the log, okay, now we're showing 18.2. But anyway, the example is, if you're buying logs and you've got one of these and your moisture tester says 20% on the outside, that's not actually the true measurement. What you should be measuring is the inside. Okay, so anyway, if this log had failed the test, this bag would go back in the barn and I'd get another one, because at the end of the day, if you sell wet crap wood, you'll only ever sell one load. So I'd rather not sell it than sell rubbish. Anyway, so there you go. So this customer is very, very fortunate, because I took one log out of their bag and I'm putting two back. My generosity knows no bounds. Okay, right, so that's that on. I can shut the barn door up, put that away, and then we'll go and load up some wood chip, because I'll do the wood chip first, probably, and this second. Okay? Don't forget your very important bit of rope, Ian. No, that's not to secure the load on, that is to catch the pallet. I've got this all worked out, it's very scientific. When I tip this off, the pallet stops about there, which means that the bag starts tipping about there, which means that when I've got the tipper up at the right level, the bag tips upside down. And then all I got to do is pull it off. And 9 times out of 10, that works. Just occasionally, when I'm in a hurry, it doesn't. Right, back to where I was going. This yard used to be all good solid stone, but over the last 10 or 15 years, and I'm not poking nor pointing the finger at anybody, some staff are better at driving the skid steer than others, shall we say. And the thing is, on stone, over a period of time, if you keep churning it up with the skid steer, this is what happens to it. So I think, again, another job for later this year is we'll have to refresh this yard, providing I can get to it. I thought, just for comparison's sake, I bought the moisture meter out with me. We would have a look at a couple of these logs out here. So this is the ash we're bringing back right now. What I'm going to do in a minute is actually going to bring the skid steer down and push this up, because Matthew's coming back in a bit, and he's going to want to tip in there. In fact, I might even open up that gap so that he can get the tractor around, maybe through there. That might help. But so that's some of the raw wood. But if I put the moisture meter on some of the cut pieces we've got, you can see the difference in moisture. And that is the ash wood. Now, in fairness, this has got frost coming off it, so it's going to be wet. I'll turn you upside down, and that side's not so bad. Right. I'm going to get my thing out. Okay, so we're set to firewood. Let's just see what you are. 28. Well, we'll call that, for argument's sake, 28%, which is way too wet to put on your fire. Even though that's ash, and they reckon you can burn ash green, which you can, but that's only because it's got oil in it. That will do your fire and your chimney no good at all. That is literally green. It's got to be below 20%, and well below. And if anything, if you can get it below 15, brilliant. With a damp year like we got at the moment, keeping stuff that's not kiln dried and then wrapped up in cling film, it's just going to reabsorb moisture out of the air. So 17%, what I'm getting these guys at, that's about as good as I'm going to get, I reckon. Anyway, I get no complaints from my customers, and they keep asking for more, so it can't be that bad. Well, made a bit of space in there anyway. Now I need to move that over a bit. Okay, I think that's probably given Matthew enough room in the yard to drive in here, reverse up there, or up there, reverse in here, and hopefully he can either go back out that way or that way, so he can turn around. I didn't want to disturb this pile because this is dry chip. This is what I'm using for my animal bedding, so if I stir this up, I'm just going to turn it from dry to wet chips, lovely and warm. So I don't really want to move that. That will be the first bit I use though, so over the next week or two that heat will disappear and we'll have more space for tractors and trailers and stuff this yard. We don't do an awful lot of work down here with tractors and trailers. It is literally normally just either our Land Rovers or the Transit that come down here. It's just that we've got a lot of wood coming back at the minute. And yeah, that's all going to have to be processed. This over here, this is our softwood pile, and as I've mentioned before, most of this we give away. There's a few bits of pine in there I'm going to pick out because I burn pine on my own, and as in proper pine. I burn it on my own log burner because I'm too tight to use the good stuff. I'd rather sell it. So there you go. There is probably, well, I won't say how many ton, but there's a few ton of firewood there that if the guys can't go out to work anywhere else, I can at least keep them here. Actually, if we had to process that as well with what we've got coming back and what we've got here, I got a couple of weeks work for them just here, and I'm reserving that because we still don't know what's going to happen with this COVID. So okay, right, 11 o'clock, cup of coffee, go deliver some wood chip. No more calves this morning. All is peaceful down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the other red one I know is on the outside, so yeah, still only 8. So 8 is what I was expecting, but there was always the chance that we might get 1 or 2 more. One of the cows has been bulling for a while, so she obviously never took this time. When we go through the end of the year, we'll decide she might just end up having to go, because I'll go for the records, if she didn't have a calf last year and she hasn't had a calf this year, then I'm basically feeding her for nothing. So not very businesslike. I don't like sending cows off if they don't have a calf. I always give them a second chance. Always give them a second chance, because maybe they just don't fancy the bull. Although Bramble was a handsome chap. Anyway, so their bed is okay for today. They will not need refreshing for today. But tomorrow I'll get some more, so they can have some of that dry stuff I just dug out in there. Right, coffee, milky coffee.